all know, because most of you have already done your CPD for this year, so you've heard us talk about the Code of Conduct for the short-term rental accommodation industry, and how the Code of Conduct came in at the end of last year. The laws around this were supposed to kick in July. They didn't. There was a 3-month extension, and that was out to the 1st of November. That's still happening. However, there is, all the laws around short-term rental accommodation, we've talked about this before, it's giving us a new definition of short-term rental accommodation, around the hosted and the non-hosted issues. The exempt development pathway for hosted and non-hosted, for, whether it's 180-day limit restrictions for non-hosted based on their location, then an exemption of bookings of 21 days or more, which have different day limits again. And then there's the big one is the new fire safety standards for dwellings used as for this short-term rental accommodation, and the associated penalty notice offences for non-compliance with that. And of course there's a new register. Everything always comes with a new register for all of these. But the big change on this one is that there's just been announced that there's a fire safety requirement grace period. So with this grace period, they're very clear about the fact, because of the stay-at-home orders because of COVID over the past 16 weeks, some hosts have been unable to travel to their properties and secure tradespeople to ensure that they're compliant with these new fire safety standards. So the temporary measure to this, from the government, in their response to the stay-at-home orders, or the lockdown as we've all been referring it to, they've allowed for a grace period for the requirement to upgrade properties to the fire safety standards. So it allows hosts, so late September they announced this, so it's now been extended out until the 1st of March. Okay, this means that hosts have an extra 4 months to make sure that their dwellings comply with those new fire safety standards. Now, there's some great documentation that you can find, mostly on the New South Wales Fair Trading website, about the fire safety standards, and some of what that needs to be. Because I'm sure if you're dealing with people who are in areas where short-term accommodation is an issue, or people are doing short-term accommodation, that they'll be asking you, what do we need to do to take advantage of offering short-term rental accommodation, and what do we need to meet? Because there's a lot of talk about it, and obviously not a lot of people know what those guidelines are. So if that's something that's happening in your area, and you're assisting your landlords or some of your owners or just people who are approaching your business, they might live in a property and say, well, we've got some spare rooms, or we've got a granny flat, or we could put in a granny flat, or how does this work for us? Read the information on the Fair Trading website. If you've done CPD with us, if you've done your compulsory, you will already have a whole lot of information. And but there's some really good information around the fire safety standards. Again, I've printed it off here. It's from the Department of Planning, Industry, Environment, and it's sitting there, and it's simply fire safety standards from the New South Wales Government. So really easy to find. So bit of a Google and off you go.